Chapter 53. Kai. I take a seat in the rigid chair, forcing an equally uncomfortable smile. Hello, Mother. Her tired eyes give me that knowing look.
Kit told me. In fact, you just missed him.
Oh? I take in the cot she hasn't left in nearly 2 months. He still comes to see you. A sharp cough rings through the empty wing before she manages.
We've bonded since the passing of his father.
Her hand reaches weakly for mine.
But don't go changing the subject, Kai. I know.
Sighing, I run fingers through my disheveled hair. 2 days.
How does the throne room look?
I almost laugh. Like a garden. Blooms have woven dozens of those pink roses along the aisle and around pillars.
It is a royal wedding,
she says, voice hoarse.
They typically are extravagant.
Hurriedly, she adds,
Well, not mine and the king's, of course.
Because father had to remarry quickly after the death of Kit's mother. I nearly recite. It's like looking into a mirror, her eyes. They study me for a long moment, seemingly in search of something within them.
I forget that you are so young. Still so much for you to learn.
The words sound vaguely like a warning I'm meant to heed. But when the queen succumbs to a fit of coughs, all thoughts are overshadowed with concern for her. I raise a glass of water to her lips, tipping her reddened face back until the cool liquid has reached her throat. She swallows before trying again.
I'm sorry you have to see me like this.
Shh. It's a stern hushing for a queen. I won't be seeing you like this for long, because you'll be healthy before we know it. Her smile, once so vibrant, has dulled.
You can lie to yourself all you like, but don't do it to your dying mother.
I shake my head, refusing to believe her words and wishing to speak of different ones. You're okay with Kit marrying Payton?
Well, Kit has his reasons,
she says simply. I'm not entirely convinced by this answer. She coughs. I wince. Rest, Mother.
So...
A ragged heave of her chest interrupts the words.
So much to learn.
Heat envelops the kitchen, wafting the scent of freshly seasoned potatoes into the air. Jax is practically salivating beside me, Andy points out with a snort. Gail, how much longer? He's scaring me. The cook turns, her round face wearing a bright grin.
Almost there, hun. The turkey needs a bit longer yet.
Perched on my usual counter, Kit sits beside me as though we are boys again. Andy and Jax occupy the far ledge while Payton leans against an open wall, observing the lot of us. Hang in there, Jay, Kit comforts, albeit teasingly. He seems better with our company, his mind clearer of whatever haunts him. Jax puffs out his chest, long legs dangling over the counter.
I'm a hungry, growing boy.
I laugh. You better be done growing. Yeah, Kit gives a sympathetic look. We can't have our little brother looking down on us. Andy's burgundy eyebrows fly up her forehead. If he has to look down on me, he has to look down on you too. I simply won't allow it, Kit states. Great idea. Andy dips a finger into the bowl of mashed potatoes beside her, sneaking a taste. Let's make that your next decree, yes? Gail doesn't bother turning around. I saw that, Andrea. With wide honey eyes, Andy hisses in our direction. How the hell does she do that? Payton laughs, drawing my attention to the opposite side of the stove. Every eye rests on her and the stunning smile she wears. The pot, Gail can see your reflection in the pot. Andrea. The cook whirls on Peyton, though her grin never falters. Don't go giving away my secrets. Why, thank you, Miss Gray, Andy says sweetly. Next, I'll need you to figure out how Jasmine keeps cheating in cards. Peyton nods. Anytime. Oh! Jax nearly jumps from the counter. Can you figure out where all my left socks are going? Yes, quite the conundrum. My cousin throws an arm around Jax's shoulders. But the future queen owes me a favor or two after fixing her door. Twice. Her gaze then slides accusingly towards me. I lean casually back on my palms, meeting her stare with a slight smirk. I was dead for a day, and it's the door you care about? Oh, please, she mutters. We knew you weren't dead. But don't worry. I still mourned the presence of my dear cousin. What decree did you have in mind? Kit cuts in, addressing Andy. Jax must stop growing, was it? It's clear he wishes for a change of subject, and thankfully, our cousin is more than happy to oblige. I think that is a very kingly declaration. It is not, Jax protests. I let them bicker among themselves, if only to relive a piece of our past. Everything is so much simpler in this kitchen, as though the world beyond stops when we step behind these stone walls. A relief of sorts resides on Peyton's face. Perhaps even she has found a semblance of solace here. With us. This family she never had. All right, Gail bellows. Grab a plate now and set the table. We do as we are told, filling the rickety table on the far side of the kitchen. Bowls of food promptly descend upon the wood, covering every scratch and stain. After shooting us all into a seat, Gail sits at the head, scooping her feast onto our plates. As children, this was our sanctuary, sitting around this table, hiding from the pressures of a court we didn't understand. Now, it is even more so. Jax and Andy argue over which piece of turkey they deserve while Kit laughs, doing little to mediate between them and their appetites. I rarely see him this happy outside the kitchen or company of family. Peyton sits across from me, piling beans onto her plate. She lifts her eyes, giving me a knowing glance that has me grinning. So you do like green beans? I say slyly. Well, since you forced me to eat them when I arrived at this castle, she reminds, they have grown on me. Among many other things since you've gotten here. Don't push it, Azar. She smiles, and I wish for nothing more than to kiss it from her lips. I have plenty of knives at my disposal to press to your pretty neck. See? I point my fork at her. If you call me pretty, I hear only the compliment, not the threat. She rolls her eyes, but I'm robbed of whatever lovely response she was ready to give me when a familiar voice cuts through the chaos. The king informed me that dinner would be served in the kitchen tonight. Callum stands in the doorway, his daughter occupying the shadow he casts. I hope we are not interrupting. Not at all. Kit waves at them to join. There is plenty of food. Please help us eat it. My gaze flicks to Peyton, now patting the empty seat beside her. Mira, come sit. She does, despite the disinterested look she wears. Callum then takes a seat at the table's end before lifting his glass into the air. Let us thank the plague for this royal union to come. Kit's eyes are fixed on the mind reader as he raises his own drink. Thank the plague. The mumbled phrase carries its way around the table until every glass is raised. But it is Peyton alone who does not thank the plague. Instead, she tips her head, turning back to Callum expectantly. A smile touches my lips. She will not think what has stolen everything from her. I'm still staring at my queen when Callum declares,
To saving Ilia.
Chapter 54. Payden. It is my last day of freedom, though I haven't had much of that as of late. I wake, dress. Ellie helps because, of course, I am incapable of doing that alone. Eat, but I must not fill my own plate. Walk the halls, Lenny is at my side. Seek counsel from Callum about helping rule a kingdom. Eat again, but do not touch the serving spoons. Walk the gardens, silently dread my wedding. Search for Kai wherever I go, but force myself to turn away when I find him. Soak in a bath. Eat in bed. I am to be queen, after all. I am to be queen. Ellie cleans up my dishes. I tell her not to. I am to be queen. Further dread my wedding. I am to be queen. Would you like to wear a dress tonight? I blink, startled from my thoughts. Ellie stands at the end of my bed, staring expectantly. To meet the king. Her smile is only slightly concerned. Do you want to wear a dress? Oh, right. I slip out from beneath the covers to plant my feet on the cushioned floor. Yes, that's fine. With a nod, Ellie hurries over to the armoire in search of a gown. Sorry. I direct distantly at her back. Today has been such a blur. I feel like I'm sleepwalking. It's likely just all of the excitement, she reassures me. Tomorrow is a very big day. It certainly is, I murmur. The castle is buzzing. Ellie pulls a navy dress from the depths of my armoire. We rarely get to plan such fun events. They want everything to be perfect for the royal wedding. At least the castle is happy about it, I sigh, stretching my stiff limbs. I doubt the rest of the kingdom is. As she ushers me behind the dressing screen, Ellie's soft voice spews comforting words. You don't know that. After your third trial and the speech at court, the people may be thinking differently. Time will tell, I suppose. I step into the flowing blue dress before pulling the thick straps over my shoulders. It's not quite formal attire with its linen fabric, but the striking cut of it ensures I won't be overlooked. I duck my head, offering a sad smile to the floor. Perhaps I did learn a thing or two about fabrics over the years. I only know what it is I'm wearing because Adina trained me to steal exactly what cloth she needed. She would make me sit behind our fort, memorizing the feel of each fabric until I could differentiate them by touch alone. My breath catches when Ellie pulls at the laces above my waist. Panting, I manage a mutter between my teeth. You didn't tell me I'd be wearing a corset. Another yank of the laces. I'm afraid you'll have to get used to it, my queen. I gasp before Ellie finally ties off the torture device and guides me towards the mirror. Navy fabric spills to the middle of my shins, flaring out beneath the cinching corset. Matching tulle peeks out along the square neckline to tickle my lifted breasts. My hair shines above my shoulders, contrasting the dark blue like a full moon against the night sky. The scar is there, ever on display, so I stand a little straighter, showcasing it in a way I hope would make the king roll over in his grave. You like it, don't you? Ellie smiles, and it's a sweet sort of savagery. Corset and all. Fine, I drawl. I like it. Tilting my head towards the ceiling, I proclaim, You hear that, eh? I like the corset. You win. Ellie giggles, and I allow myself to do the same. Heading for the door, I'm presented with a pair of flat, dark shoes that I happily slip on. I'll meet Lenny in the hall, I say over my shoulder. Thank you for your help, Elle. You can have the rest of the night to yourself. But it's your wedding night, and you will have much to do tomorrow. I swing open the door. Rest. I insist. I catch her begrudging nod before striding into the hallway. It only takes a few steps before Lenny has found his way to my side. Evening, princess. He winces. Queen. Whatever it is I'm supposed to call you. You could try my name, I offer. He considers this mockingly. I don't think our relationship is quite there yet. After elbowing him in the stomach, I allow myself a smile. We turn down another hall, and right as I think I've escaped the question, he asks, "You ready for tomorrow?" That pinch of panic I have been feeling all day grabs hold of my heart once again. Not even a little bit. Everything will be fine. This is slightly reassuring until he adds, "Hopefully." You really are such a comfort to me. Hey, he practically laughs. You'll be fine, all right? You always are. Right, I glance over at him. Like the cockroach I am. Those red curls fall over his brow with a shake of his head. That does sound less and less like a compliment, I'm beginning to realize. I surprise myself with a weak laugh. You don't say. As we turn a corner, the throne room's large doors come into sight. I take a deep breath, worrying once again what it is I might see behind them. My determined avoidance of wedding decorations will now come to an end. We're nearly at the doors when Lenny grabs my arm, pulling me aside. Hey, I wanted to ask you something. He fidgets with the mask on his face, running fingers along the freckles peeking out beneath. What is it? I say, slightly concerned. Well, when you're queen, he gestures to the looming doors, which will be very soon, I was, wondering if you would do something for me. Of course, the answer is quick. Anything. He takes a deep breath. Release me from my post. I'd like to be free of my imperial duties. See what Dor or Tando has to offer me. I blink, stunned. What? Is that what you want? He scratches the back of his neck. I think. Maybe. My hand finds his arm, and I'm forced to swallow before saying, well, if that is what you wish, but... I point a finger in his face. We are going to talk about this later, okay? His relief is palpable. Of course. I smile at him before turning towards the doors. They are open a handful of heartbeats later, and as I step into the throne room, Lenny's voice follows. Thank you, P. Nodding over my shoulder at him, I nearly stumble into my own wedding. A plethora of light pink roses twine together to create a path down the center of the room. They climb up the dais, bursting into a bed of petals to pad our feet. Awe parts my lips at the twisted arch of foliage hanging above it all, a lacing of vines, roses, and drooping white flowers. The pillars are covered in more of the same, their marble lost in the beauty choking them. Thick white ribbons string between the windows and dance alongside the intricate molding. The room itself glows in the setting sunlight, kissing every flower with a drop of warmth. It's beautiful, isn't it? Thoroughly entranced by the ethereal expanse before me, I startle at Kit's words. Yes, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. His smile is faint. You're happy with it? I had nearly forgotten what all this was meant for. At the reminder that he, the king, will be forever tethered to my soul at the end of this flowery path, I feel a bit faint. Mm-hmm. The uncertain sound is all I can manage at the moment. Good. He steps closer. I fight to keep my feet from running out the doors. Is he paler than usual? His lips are chapped, gaze bleary above them. I know this is a lot, but it will all be over soon. His words grow distant, and just like that, the walls are closing in. I swallow, corset suddenly suffocating. I'm okay, just have a lot on my mind. I know the feeling, he agrees. This is not an easy... I don't hear the rest of his words. No, my focus is wholly on those doors and the freedom beyond. I'm sorry, I suddenly rasp, cutting off his muffled voice. I think I just need some time alone. A twinge of confusion on his face has me attempting to soften my demand with a quick, I will see you tomorrow, though, and everything looks gorgeous. Running sweaty hands down the front of my dress, I set an impressive pace towards the doors. Thank you, I call over my shoulder. Truly. And when the king has disappeared from sight, I run towards that yawning open air beyond the castle. I trip down the stairs after bursting through the doors. Wind claws at my hair as I step into the courtyard, dress rippling all around me. Legs pumping, I run for the gardens, feeling freer than I likely ever will again. A rolling of dark clouds begins to smother the setting sun, covering it with the promise of rain. Still, I run, from my fear, from my future, from my now. The slippers on my feet beat steadily across the garden's spiraling path. Petals brush playfully at my legs, while thorns bite at the fabric encasing them. Thunder rumbles in the distance. Still, I run. Past every crumbling statue, every soft flower bed, and every drop of water the fountain spits at me. My feet meet the plush field of grass beyond, and still, I run. Right to that willow tree. Rain splatters my face as I part the curtain of drooping leaves and duck beneath its refuge. My heart stops at the same moment my feet do. There he is, stunningly sprawled atop a large blanket. I'm panting, heart pounding at the sight of its other half. Kai looks up at me, hands resting behind a head of black waves. I nearly fall to my knees before him. He has always been a prince, always a puppet for power or instrument of death. But just as constant and formidably fierce, he has been my home. In search for comfort, it is him I crawl back to. Peace is the place he resides, and passion is a word I only understand when I look into his eyes. He is the freedom I cannot grasp. We are inevitable. We are tragedy. Pay. I follow the plea in his voice and stride slowly towards that alluring sound. Rain pelts the canopy of leaves, slipping between the occasional branch to sprinkle my skin. It grows steadily darker beneath the willow's solace, but the shadows refuse to hide his face from me as I lower myself down onto the blanket. Kai sits up, reaches for my face, thinks better of it. It's the eve of your wedding. I've hardly seen you in days, so I certainly wasn't expecting your company tonight. It's a blatant statement, one he's wrung all emotion from. I swallow, letting my eyes trace up the strong column of his neck. I know. There is a pause. It is filled with a flurry of thoughts and fluttering of my heart, with the intensity of conviction and impulsiveness of longing. But I made my choice the day I stole those coins from him so long ago. Passion, thrill, something all-consuming. Tomorrow is my wedding day, I finally murmur. I think that is why I'm here. Peyton, I won't watch you marry him. His voice is little more than a growl. I can't bear to lose you. So have me. The tips of my fingers trace his knuckles. One last time. He stills beneath my touch, eyes flicking up to meet mine. They're searching, surprised by the boldness of those words. I don't want a last time, he breathes. I want a first and forever. My hand is steady as it reaches for his face. Kai leans into the touch, pressing his cheek against my palm with an eagerness that makes my heart pound. Just pretend with me tonight. I touch my forehead to his, brush his nose with my own. Pretend we have a forever after this. The deep breath he draws in is the very sound of restraint. But Kit is not my husband yet, I finish instead of his protest. And starting tomorrow, I will give him the rest of my life. But to you, I give my heart, myself. A deep sound hums in the back of his throat. It makes me shiver. Rain splatters his hair, sticking dark waves to his forehead as he greedily wraps an arm around my waist, tugging me closer. I can't help but gasp when his head dips, lips grazing the side of my neck. My head falls back as he kisses a dizzyingly slow path down the sensitive column of my throat. His lips drag across my flushed skin, mouth mingling with the cool rain that drips from my jaw. My hands wrap around his neck and clawed his hair in a futile attempt to tug him closer. I need him closer. Kai's breath is warm against my throat, his voice quivering with restraint. It's a murmur of his lips against my skin, a plea, a demand. Tell me what it is you want, Pei. My whole body ignites beneath his touch, something unleashing within me at the sound of his desperation. I lean back to cup his face in my hands and whisper a promise onto his lips. You, I breathe. You, always. His mouth crashes into mine. I melt against him, letting this wave of wanting consume me. He kisses me deeply, and I have never tasted something so alluring. I'm quickly pulled onto his lap, one hand in my hair and the other gripping my hip like this is a dream he's terrified to wake from. His lips claim me, more than they ever have before and ever will again. My mouth parts for him, our tongues meeting greedily. Thunder rattles the sky, rain pelts the canopy of leaves, but I am lost beneath this willow, knowing nothing but him and this moment. My lips move against his, even as I grab the hand he has wrapped around my waist and guide it towards the laces at my back. He pulls away, chest heaving against mine. The corset is gripped tightly in his fist, as though to hold himself back from tearing it off me. I promise that if I had you, his thumb traces the curve of my lips, it would only be because you let me. So have me. It's a desperate demand from lips that already miss his. You don't want me to beg for you first? He drawls. My fingers catch his chin. Is that not what you've done since the moment we met? He chuckles, and the sound snakes its way down my spine. The tie at my back grows loose as Kai toys with the knot. And it is what I will do until the moment I meet my end. A response is ready to roll off my tongue when air suddenly floods into my lungs. With one precise tug, Kai has freed me from the corset's confines. I gasp, staring at him in shock while a breathy laugh surprises me. He tilts his head, wearing a dimple-framed grin. I'm quite good with corsets. I laugh again, the sound cut off by the press of my lips against his. My teeth nip at his lip playfully, so unlike that night atop the roof and door. He breathes me in, kissing me like I've commanded it of him. I sigh into his mouth, and the sound has something snapping within him. Swiftly, he flips me from his lap to the blanket beneath us. I lie there, panting up at him. My back is bare beneath the arm he has wrapped around it, the blanket cold and wet. And nothing has ever felt so perfect. His hold grows suddenly gentle, and I catch a slight trembling of his fingers when he tucks a strand of hair behind my ear. I am delicate in his arms, devoted in his gaze. Are you sure, Pei? I smile up at him, having never been so sure of anything in my life. Yes, I answer softly. Tonight will be our forever. The loosened corset has a strap falling from my shoulder. Holding his gaze, I slip the other off my arm. An invitation. His chest heaves as I reach for his tunic and the trail of buttons down its center. One by one, I pull them free, revealing a sliver of skin beneath. Kai's gaze glides over my collarbones, the lifting of my chest, the falling of my fingers from his shirt. He holds my stare and shrugs the fabric from his shoulders before casting it aside. Beads of water roll down his bare chest and the swirling tattoo there. Raindrops trail the length of his stomach, following the path of ridged muscle. I've never found breathing to be such a chore. My fingers skim over the rough leather belt hanging low on his hips. Slowly, I trace the hilt of a thin dagger clinging to the side of his pants. My eyes never stray from his as I pull the weapon free and toss it aside. His smile is dangerous. I've never seen you pass up an opportunity to threaten me. Don't sound so disappointed, I whisper slyly. That grin grows greedy, but when he lowers himself over me, the movement is gentle. I run my hands across his bare back, feeling every muscle that ripples down the length of it. Then his mouth is on my skin again, kissing the length of my collarbone, the hollow of my throat, above the heart that aches for him, and the scar his father gave me. Kai's eyes flick up to mine then, after he's skimmed his mouth over the mangled skin. His lips form a murmured promise. No part of you will go unloved. I nod, rain splattering my face and rolling down my cheeks like the tears I refuse to shed. I nod because I believe him. I nod because there is not an inch of myself that I will not give him. My confession is breathy, nearly lost on the wind. I love you. Then I shiver, because I want him so recklessly that it shakes me to my very core. And tonight, he is mine. Lightning strikes, illuminating the fierce cut of his body above mine, muscles tense and gray eyes molten with heat. I love you, I say again, and pull his face up towards mine. He kisses me, and the world falls quiet. I love you. And when the dress slips from my skin, leaving only the rain to clothe me, he seems to whisper into my very soul. You are my forever. Shadow and flame, formidably inevitable. Forever my undoing.
Chapter 55. Kai. Dawn streams through the willow's branches, slipping between the gaps in her embrace. I roll groggily onto my side, skin slick with morning dew. My hand reaches for her warmth but finds only cold air. Blinking awake, I sit up rigidly atop the damp blanket, my bare chest exposed to the morning chill. My frantic gaze lands on her. Then it calms, evolves into something akin to awe. Pei sits at the end of the blanket, a light dappling her smooth skin. The shadows of willow leaves paint her body, ever shifting in the slight breeze. She is a vision, something so ethereal in this moment that I may just believe there is a God. She is the closest thing to a deity. Her smile is soft, lingering at the corners with a slight shyness she rarely lets me see. Good morning, Prince? My pants are damp with dew, but I bend my knees, propping elbows on them loosely. Good morning, darling. I watch her pull each strap of that damp and dirty dress over her shoulders. She can feel the gaze I drag over her and kindly lets me continue. Inching closer, Pei turns her back to me. I know you're better at unlacing corsets, but I can't walk through the castle with my dress falling off. I smile, letting my fingers glide down her spine. This makes her shiver, skin pebbling in a way that has me swallowing. I memorize the feel of her, slow and deliberate, before tying a loose knot at the base of the corset. Thank you, she murmurs, turning to face me. I shrug. I could use the practice when it comes to lacing corsets. Peyton rolls her eyes, even as I pull her against me. If it is more practice you need, then how would you like to be the queen's maid? My fingers find the tip of her nose and flick it lightly. I'm afraid I would be a terrible distraction. Your clothes would rarely make it on. Is that so? Only one way to find out. She shakes her head at me before growing suddenly solemn. Thank you for last night. I love you, Pei. I say this sternly, unforgivingly, and I am honored to get the chance to. She presses her forehead to mine, lips quivering as she whispers, There is nothing I regret more than not having the time with you. Her hands are cupping my face. Mine are buried in that tousled silver hair I cut for her. And when she kisses me, it's as though she is taking one final breath. Her mouth clings to mine, memorizing a moment we pretend will be our forever. I taste her lament on my lips, a lingering goodbye I'll relive long after she's gone. Pulling apart before I can feel her trembling hands, she gets to her feet and steps away. I need to go. Another step backward. Ellie will want to get me ready soon. Now I'm standing, chest tight. I can't watch you marry him, Pei. Kai, don't make this harder than it already is. Please. She swipes angrily at the tears slicking her face. You know I have to do this. I shake my head. You don't. You have your duties, she breathes, and I have mine. We don't choose our fate, remember? I stare at her, and the feeling of my heart wrenching in two nearly brings me to my knees. Her feet fumble backwards until the willow's branches are tangled around her shoulders. But I would choose you, every time. If only I could. She whispers, know that. The sun streams through her hair, crowning it with a halo of light. I swallow, throat burning. I'll see you after the wedding, my queen. A tear rolls down her cheek at my words. As your enforcer, I finish weakly. With one last regretful look, she parts the curtain of leaves and steps into her future without me.
Chapter 56. Payden. A queen stares back at me in the mirror. Her gaze is sharp, bright like the shallows she survived, and lined with kohl as dark as the cave she crawled out of. A slight shimmer coats her eyelids, right above the darkened lashes that fan atop powdered cheeks. Her lips are stained a deep red, masking the flush of a stolen kiss. Gone are the tear streaks, buried instead by makeup and facades. She looks lethal, formidable. And oddly, she doesn't look like a stranger. Ellie fusses with my hair, tying 2 braided strands at the back of my head. It's elegant, yet simple, allowing for most of the silver waves to tickle my shoulders. Maids I've never met rush around the room, prepping my dress and every detail. I sit stiffly before the vanity mirror, forcing my thoughts from my imminent future. Ellie takes a step back to examine her handiwork. I think I'm all done. Her dark eyes shine with pride. You look so beautiful. I force a smile. Thanks to you. She presses her lips together in a soft smile before shooing me behind the dressing screen. Time to get you in your dress. Stripping among several strangers is the least of my concerns at the moment, so I don't hesitate like a different version of myself would have. The cluster of maids crowd around me, helping each leg into the skirt and every inch of fabric to lie precisely as it should. Stepping out before the mirror, I assess this altered dress. Its sleeveless bodice hugs me closely, draped in a flowery lace. Both delicate and bold, it sprawls over my skin while long lacy ties fall down the low back. Only a few buttons remain at the base of my spine, not so unlike the laces of my corset last night. Laces that he loosened, replaced with lingering fingers. His skin was on mine, hot and cold and dripping with rain. Dress forgotten, fears abandoned, sins laid bare. I shake my head, trying to shove thoughts of him away. Ellie's concerned gaze stares back at me in the mirror. Are you unhappy with the dress? No, I say quickly. Then again, to ease her mind. No, it's beautiful. I love it. One moment, she's sighing in relief, and within the next, she's dismissing each maid. They file out the door, allowing me to take my first deep breath all morning. I turn towards Ellie, pulling her hand into mine. Thank you for everything. You've made me look like a queen. I did nothing of the sort, she shakes her head at me. You have always been more powerful than you believe. I swallow, nod slowly. Callum will be here soon. He'll walk me to the throne room when it's time. I toss my head towards the door. Now go enjoy the wedding celebrations. Her brows furrow. Are you sure? Yes, I sigh wearily. I think I'd like a moment to myself. She offers me a dip of her head. My queen. As soon as she slips out the door, I eagerly shut it behind her. My forehead falls against the cool wood, eyelids fluttering.
Let's take a gentle pause and drift into a moment of calm. You've listened beautifully. Now breathe, relax, and enjoy this peaceful melody made just for you.
Shut. I stand there for a long while and try to enjoy every last moment before meeting my fate. It's quiet now, this room, my thoughts, even the inside of my mind sounds like acceptance. I am getting married today. No denial, no frantic urge to flee. Blowing out a deep breath, I push away from the door at the same moment a knock sounds from the other side. My fingers are wrapped around the handle within the next second, turning it until a hand shoots out, halting the door before it can swing open. "Wait, it's me." The king's voice is slightly muffled, separated by the slab of wood. I lean forward, voicing my confusion to the thin crack between us. "Kit? What are you doing here?" "Look," he mutters quickly. "I know we're not supposed to see each other, but I wanted to bring you something." There is a soft thud when he places said something onto the floor. "My mother loved her jewelry, or so I've been told, and it's all been collecting dust in this box for years." He pauses long enough to have me pressing an ear to the door, waiting for whatever words he's struggling to say. "So I was hoping you would wear something of hers." Rushing on, he adds, "I obviously don't know what your dress looks like, so I just brought the whole jewelry box for you to look through. I'm not even sure what is in here, really." I smile sadly, nod even when he cannot see it. "I would be honored, Kit." The relief in his voice is endearing. "Thank you. I just want a piece of her with me today, you know?" My gaze falls to the steel ring on my thumb. "Oh, I know." A comfortable silence lingers between us. "I'll leave this out here then," Kit finally says. "Just give me about 10 seconds to sprint out of sight." I laugh. Brilliant plan. He stands to his feet, the sound of rustling clothes reaching my ears. "I'll see you soon, Peyton." And then the king is gone. I stare at the door, my gaze tracing the grooved wood impatiently. 2, 3, 4. My fingers fiddle with the lacy flowers cascading down my body. 7, 8, 9. I swing the door open. Kit is gone, leaving the hall empty with the exception of several stationed Imperials. At my slippered feet sits a wooden box, embellished with intricate carvings. Its lid is covered in deep swirls that vaguely resemble Ilya's crest, while small drawers line the long length. Picking it up swiftly, I slip back into my room. Decades of dust dulls the beautiful box, seemingly frozen in time with the exception of several fingerprints. I set it carefully on the bed and am about to follow when I notice that forgotten piece of parchment on my bedside table. The note has sat there since Kai's unexpected visit and was quickly forgotten at the sight of my dagger in his hands. Now, I abandon every thought for what is etched into that paper. My heart races as I reach for it, unfurling each edge beneath my fingertips. His handwriting is neat with consideration. These are words he has ached to say, and time slows painfully as I wallow within them. "I know how you refuse to thank the plague. It is understandable, admirable even, how valiantly you despise the thing that made your survival so difficult. But I do thank the plague. I whisper my gratitude for it when you are sound asleep in my arms, when your fingers flick the tip of my nose. In the quiet moments, I thank the plague for you. If it weren't for the dividing of ordinaries and elites so many years ago, I would have never found my way to you. My coins are always at risk in your presence, but no saving of my life would have been necessary that day. No silencers, no purging trials, no stolen moments under the willow. When I thank the plague, it is not for the power it has gifted me, but for the privilege of you. Nothing makes me stronger than the weakness that is you, Peyton Gray. And if, in the next lifetime, you choose to steal from me again, I would happily give you my soul if it meant a place beside yours. But until then, I will watch you become another's reason to thank the plague. You, Pay, are my inevitable. I love you. I'm paralyzed by every bittersweet sentence. Grief and acceptance mingle between each syllable to leave me staring numbly at the blur of ink. The words flow from a place he rarely lets another into. His heart. He is a poet, a fool, a man writing his final goodbye. I shake my head at the note, unable to let him go so easily. A knock at the door shatters my silent mourning for the boy I cannot have. Come in. The books atop my bedside table tremble as I shove the note into the drawer beneath with the others. Callum slips into the room, blonde hair combed back and suit pressed neatly. I manage a weak smile. Is it time? It is. He approaches me slowly. Just get through this first ceremony. I can't seem to decide if I want to laugh or cry. Yes, and then I'll have to endure the second one en route. Callum's smile is solemn, and it's a familiar sight on his face. One thing at a time, Peyton. Right, I nod, gather my courage, and stride towards the door. With one last sweeping gaze over my chamber, I say goodbye to the girl who inhabited it, because today she becomes a queen, a wife. My eyes land on that bedside table where my heart remains, shoved aside for the future of this kingdom. Then they stutter over that jewelry box atop my bed. I waver in the doorway, reminded how I hadn't picked out a piece of jewelry like Kit asked. Peyton, we have to go. I turn towards Callum and the slight urgency in his voice. With a distant nod, I stride from the room. There is always the next ceremony. We walk in silence down the halls. Callum must sense my unease and graciously gives me a moment to myself. Or maybe it's just my panicked thoughts that tell him I'm in no mood for conversation. I hide shaking fingers in the many folds of my dress, curling my nails into the lace. My heart pounds as we near the throne room. Sunlight streams through the many windows surrounding us to decorate this dark day with light. I blow out a breath as we round a corner, as if that alone could calm the swelling terror within me. Surely we will not go through with this wedding. Something will happen to stop this insanity. Kai will steal me away, or perhaps his brother will simply come to his senses. But there cannot possibly be a union at the end of that aisle. I realize, as we halt before the throne room doors, that I never intended to make it to this day. Even when I let Kit slip that ring on my finger, I hadn't imagined we would ever get the chance to solidify that symbol with vows. I did not even expect to survive the trials, let alone live to see my wedding day. And after everything I have faced, this may be the most terrifying of them all. I don't get the chance to run from my future before the doors are swinging open. Horrified, I stand there, watching my wedding slowly sprawl before me. My view of the throne room grows wider, displaying dozens of flowers with every inch. The mass of people only grows, all standing on either side of that rose-framed aisle. And when the doors groan to a halt, every eye turns to me. Feet shuffle, heads turn. My body trembles, heart thrashes against my chest. The look I'm wearing is alarming enough to have hushed whispers wafting over the crowd. I don't hear them. I don't hear anything past the blood pounding in my ears. My gaze lifts from the flowered aisle, dragging up slowly to meet the king's. He stands atop the dais, a scholar behind him. A crown is perched atop a pedestal, its silver points elegantly lethal. Long emerald gems are fastened around it, only emphasizing the delicacy that deadly things often have. I blink at it vaguely before recognition dawns on me. This is Queen Marina's crown, the trophy of my first trial. It has been restored, impressively, to the ethereal state it likely once was. A lump forms in my throat at the thought of placing it on my head after robbing the first queen's body of it. The king's own golden crown sits among his hair, paired with the deep green suit he wears beneath. Kit's eyes gleam, bright beneath the canopy of drooping flowers. Though the dark smudges surrounding them have been expertly concealed, the ashen color of his skin is stark within the swarm of color. He looks as lost as I feel. His hands fidget with the cuffs of his sleeves, twisting the buttons there incessantly. He doesn't want this either. In another life, I might have offered him a comforting smile, might have walked down this aisle on my father's arm. But this life is harsh and cruel, and has barely allowed me to live it. And worst of all, I do not love him. The thought is jolting, not because it shocks me, but because I have finally allowed myself not to want this. So many weeks have been spent justifying this union, for the kingdom, the ordinaries, the hope of a better future. But what of my own? I do not love this man. No, it is his brother I have given my heart to. Callum urges me forward with his arm twined around mine. I take my first step. Lips move around me. I don't hear what they say. Kit is staring at me with a distant look that smothers the handsome features of his face. I walk stiffly to that altar, every step more damning than the last. Callum is an anchor at my side, helping to guide me to this fate. This is duty, I remind myself. This is hope for the future and forgiveness of the past. This is sacrifice. One foot in front of the other. My chest heaves. I do not want this. Kit reaches for my hand. I do not love him. I hesitate. My heart stutters, begging me to damn sacrifice and choose selfishness, choose Kai, choose love. But I'm not sure I know how to choose myself anymore. Or perhaps I never have. So I take the king's arm, letting him guide me onto the dais. His skin is worryingly warm. Roses surround us, a large crown of them above our heads and petals beneath our feet. I turn to face the king before allowing him to pull my slick palms into his own. We stare at each other, unsurety shrouding each of our faces. My heart pounds beneath the displayed scar etched into flushed skin, the sound echoing in my ears. I feel suddenly hollow, as though I have no control over my limbs, my life. The scholar begins speaking between us. I don't want to hear his damning words, but they pelt me just the same. Gather here today to join Kit Azur, king and savior of Ilia, and the Lady Payden Grey in holy matrimony. Bear witness to their union and... My ears begin to ring, blotting out the bellowed decree. I stare pointedly at Kit for any sign of regret or change of heart. But terrifyingly, he looks rather content to stitch his soul to mine. That only has my gaze flicking frantically over the crowd in the hopes of finding some way out of this. We can't possibly go through with this. The scholar slips a ring onto Kit's left hand. Right? Do you, Kit Azur, take Payden Grey to be your wife and queen? My eyes crash into the green ones before me. I think I've stopped breathing. Kit stares at me long enough to have hope sparking in my tightening chest. But the words that fall from his lips do not mirror that hesitance. I do. I feel dizzy. The scholar turns his attention to me. Do you, Payden Grey, take Kit Azur to be your husband and king? My stomach flips, heart hanging onto the thread of freedom I have left. I am a single I do away from signing my soul with another's name. One that is not Kai Azur, enforcer, my cocky bastard. The throne room is smothered in silence as I scan the expectant crowd. I look for him in every face, every gap between finely dressed bodies. Jax, Andy, Callum, Mira, Gale, strangers. Kai is nowhere to be found, just as he promised. Payden, the scholar raises his bushy brows at me. Still, I wait for something to save me from this moment. I teeter before the rest of my life and beg for someone to catch me before I fall. My dress grows too tight as hope flees from my chest, stealing all the air with it. It takes me a long moment to realize that nothing and no one will ever save me. Those who have in the past are dead. The one who would in this present is likely under a willow tree, already mourning me. So I face my fate alone and look it in the eyes. Kit shifts slightly, his gaze urging me to speak what I must. Stronger than I feel and more damning than I let on, I utter, I do. Then I pronounce you husband and wife. The king nods slightly. I nod back as his queen. You may kiss the bride and seal this union. My mouth dries. I had forgotten about that bit. Kit, ever kingly and calm, leans in to press his lips to mine. It is soft, a bearing of his soul despite never doing so with words. This kiss tastes like the sweet end of an apology or the lingering of a farewell. And when he pulls away, I'm left staring into the face of my husband. I expel the panic from my being and swallow the realization of what I've done. We turn towards the court, hand in hand. The scholar lifts that lethal crown from its pedestal and lifts it high above my head. Bending my knees, I force the constant tremble from my limbs. People of Ilia, I present unto you Payden Azer, your undoubted queen consort. The scholar's decree rings through the throne room. And your king, Kit Azer, savior of Ilia. May their union bring prosperity to our kingdom and greatness to our histories. The court claps, forcing smiles onto begrudging faces. We step from the dais, a married couple, and walk down the aisle as royals. I focus only on making it beyond those open doors as we parade through the center of this court. My gaze is fixed distantly on the sliver of freedom ahead when I see him. Time slows. My heart splinters. Kai stands in the doorway, his chest heaving as though he has sprinted past his best judgment and found himself here. A broken sort of acknowledgement of my fate fills his face. I see the exact moment he realizes he is too late. His gray eyes flick between the two of us in disbelief. Even the enforcer did not believe I would go through with it, and his hurt cuts me deep. I failed him. I failed us. Still, he musters a small smile. It is the look of letting someone go, and it tears me to pieces. He was going to save me.
Chapter 57. Kai. Shadows skitter over my skin, as if summoned by the darkness brewing within me. Rough bark digs into my spine, kneading my back with gnarled fingers. I lean my head against the willow's sturdy trunk, watching warmth filter through the veil of branches. The long, drooping leaves cast shifting shadows across my skin as they sway in the breeze, dappling me in both light and dark. I haven't left the willow's comforting embrace since Payden left mine. My gaze lifts to the sun above, winking at me through the shifting umbrella of leaves. The wedding has likely started already, but I'm rooted to the spot like this tree beside me. Tears sting my tired eyes. I can't remember the last time I truly cried. Aside from my reunion with Payden after her third trial, there was the day Ava died. I looked down at the patch of soft grass beside me. Father carried out our training as if nothing had happened, continuing to carve open my skin and push perfected power from my body. I could do nothing but numb every inch of myself, force a mask atop my grief. Every tear was hidden until I returned to my room, bloody and shaking. Then there was the night I took my first life. At the time, I hadn't even known the extent of what the king made me do. But I wept for Peyton's father all the same. I wept for the piece of me that died alongside him. That was the first night I drove a sword into the posts of my bed, over and over again. Wood splintered beneath my blade, chunks of it flying in every direction. Grief drove me to find something more potent within myself, something to smother the hurt. Fear. I would become a monster, a puppet of death, if it meant I felt nothing else. Then I met her. Peyton rivaled me. The stars, the very sea with her gaze. She had me in the palm of her hand the moment she grabbed mine in that alley. And for the first time since I was a boy, fear gripped my heart. Right then and there, I knew she would be my undoing. We are inevitable. The Silver Savior and me. Our pasts are as irrevocably intertwined as our futures now will be. But it is not love that has tied our souls together. It is duty. My vision grows blurry behind the foreign feel of tears. I lay a hand on that soft grass, shutting my eyes against this wave of emotion. I don't know what to do, eh? I whisper. She says nothing. She never does. A tear rolls down my cheek. I'm tired. Tired of the loyalty that has taken everything I care about. Tired of standing by while happiness finds its home elsewhere. But most of all, I'm tired of losing her. Then there is now. When I cry for the future I so badly wish to live with her. It's a silent stream of tears that I try my best not to acknowledge. I take a shuddering breath before swiping at them roughly. Don't let her be your weakness. Mother's warning came far too late. She is not only my weakness. She is my everything. My voice is weak. I can't lose her too, eh? I comb a hand through my unruly hair, raking fallen leaves from the strands. The shadows wave their goodbye as I stand to my feet and stretch stiff limbs. I have to do something. My gaze falls to the rumpled blanket beneath me, a mere remnant of last night. The cool breeze in her hair, gasp in her throat, warmth in her touch. Now it is a memory that will haunt me. I stride from beneath the drooping branches, evading the willow's reaching fingers. My skin smells of her. My heart aches for her. The enforcer bows to her. I'm off to find my queen.
Chapter 58. Peyton. The crown is just as heavy as I remember it being. Only now, it carries far more weight with a queen under it. Kit walks beside me, the sound of a dismissing court echoing in the distance. We head for my room in a rather dull silence, soaking in this sliver of peace before our second ceremony. The feasts and dancing in celebration of our union won't begin until tomorrow, and I wished for nothing more than to sleep this day away. The thought makes my ears burn. I doubt I'm intended to sleep alone tonight. You did well, Kit finally offers into the silence. My heels continue hitting the ground with a rhythmic click. Thank you. Now, as soon as you're changed and ready, we will head out to the coaches. The elephant in the room stomps beside us as we continue to pretend as though we are not bound together for life. I whirl on him suddenly. Did you want this? Despite our marriage being for Ilya, did you want this? My question makes him pause. I know how Kai feels about you. So no, I didn't want to do this. But you married me anyway. And I would do so much worse for him, he says quickly. I swallow. Despite everything, I understand. Our marriage is for Kai as much as it is for Ilya. The Enforcer will never have to take the life of another ordinary. He will no longer be controlled by guilt or shame. And above all, this kingdom will remain standing. I can manage little more than a nod. Reaching my door, I place a hand on the knob. I lost track of time earlier, but I'll pick something out from your mother's jewelry box now. Thank you. A raspy cough cuts the sentiment short. Are you... I spot something that looks suspiciously like blood splatter his handkerchief. All right? He wipes his mouth. I'm fine. Kit, I think you're sick. I said I'm fine, Payton. He snaps, eyes suddenly wild. I take a bewildered step back and watch the king compose himself. He clears his raw throat, shifts into something deceivingly docile. Thank you for your concern. I nod. My voice is weak. I'll meet you in the courtyard. The king is striding down the hall before I slip into my room. I lean against the door and shut my eyes, shoving aside the tears I desperately wish to cry. My heart aches at the vivid memory of Kai standing behind those doors with a look of betrayal seeping onto his features. Then he slipped into the crowd before my trembling lips could form an apology. I pull the crown from my head, hardly noticing when the jagged points bite into my palm. The sharp emeralds reflect my weary face back at me like a glimpse into my future. I see a life of torture beside the man I love. My husband sits on the throne, but he is not who holds my heart. No, that man stands to my left, never looking in my direction. The mask he wears has choked all emotion from his face, and without me to pull it free, he becomes a shell of the man he once was. A gnawing numbness has begun its slow trickle over me. Ellie helps pull the extravagant wedding dress from my body, each word a congratulations, each turn of her lips a smile. I'm quickly swaddled in more white fabric, this dress lighter and softer than the last. The swishing skirt billows out from my waist and flows to just above my bare ankles. Its bodice is relatively simple, though embroidered with a tangle of beaded vines. Thin straps hug my shoulders, and white heels clutch my feet. You don't want to look too dressed up en route, Ellie reassures while toying with my hair. She says this like I didn't already know. Showing up to the poverty-stricken slums in a gown expensive enough to feed several of them for weeks would hardly make the best impression. She steps away to examine me. But you still look like a very elegant bride. Thank you, Ellie. I clear my tightening throat. That will be all. I'd like a moment alone. Nodding her understanding, Ellie slips from the room. I sigh into the silence and wish I could hide behind these four walls indefinitely. More out of comfort than necessity, I strap my dagger to a thigh beneath the dress. This makes me feel better, having a piece of my father with me on my wedding day. The jewelry box taunts me until I finally pad over to it. Sitting carefully atop the bed, I adjust the dress around me and tip open the lid. I stare into its velvet-encased depths, swallowing my gasp at the sight of so many glittering jewels. They sit against the green fabric, so perfectly intact. Diamonds, sapphires, and an impressive number of emeralds wink up at me. I reach for a particularly blinding necklace before thinking better of it. Queen Iris certainly had a taste for finery. I have never seen such wealth. I'm not even sure how to hold it. These jewels alone could feed all of Loot. I'm suddenly snapping the lid shut, nauseated by the mere sight of something so fine. There was once a time when I would have done unspeakable things to steal even a single gem. Now, I get to wear them around my neck like a trophy. Or a pretty noose. I shove the thought away and pull open one of the small drawers. It is stuffed with shiny rings, all bands of shimmering gold and silver. Beside it is a drawer littered with bracelets, but it's the one beneath that has me pausing. No jewelry, no gems, only the brittle head of a rose. I run a gentle finger over the dried petals, watching them crumble beneath my touch. My breath catches in surprise. This flower is older than I am. A folded piece of parchment lies beneath its severed stem. Carefully, I slip it from the drawer's clutches, though the wood clings fiercely to it. Time has aged the note, creasing the edges and yellowing the paper. I unfold it slowly to reveal a hastily written message in looping handwriting. Meet me in the garden at midnight. Wear a cloak. You are too beautiful to be seen with me. My heart is yours, always. I stare blankly at the note. This was not meant for my eyes. I feel as though I've intruded on an intimate moment that was supposed to remain forever preserved within this box. And yet, I can't seem to tear my gaze from it. This was not the king she was meeting. No, the queen would not sneak about the castle with her own husband. She had a lover. I set the paper down with a sigh. It feels odd to pluck a piece of one's life from belongings of the dead. To accuse the late queen of being unfaithful feels stranger still. And yet, staring down at the note, something nags at me distantly. I dismiss the feeling, deciding instead to explore the other drawers. Hair clips in one, more rings in the other. My fingers tug at the last compartment, fighting to free the shallow drawer. With a groan, it gives up, sliding to unveil a stack of crumpled notes. It's that same smudged handwriting that stains each piece of parchment. I skim through the short letters, each one more cryptic than the last. Time, place, I love you always. My fingers fumble blindly around the drawer, searching for any forgotten pieces of the past. A creased sheet of parchment lives in the corner of the compartment, contorted against the wood for what has likely been years. I pry it out before forcing deep ridges from the yellowing paper, flattening it against my dress-draped knee. Inspecting further, I flip it over and... I've never looked into the face of a ghost, but I imagine this is what it would feel like. My whole body goes numb as the photograph slips from between my fingers. Something grips my very soul, certain and crushing. It's familiarity, I realize. It's recognition of yourself within another. I stare at the woman. She stares up at me. Her bright blue eyes are nearly as vibrant as the smile she wears. There's a certain warmth in her gaze, in the rosiness of her cheeks. Light blonde hair cascades over her shoulders, falling in loose waves. And her nose. I take a shuddering breath before lifting the photograph in front of my face. Her nose is dusted with freckles. I stare at the queen. She stares up at one. Blood claims blood, and when I look at Iris Moira, the late and beloved queen of Ilia, I see a shade of her coursing through my veins. And blood never forgets. The parchment flutters to the bed as I press a steadying hand to my thumping heart. This is absurdity. That is what I tell myself over and over again. This is a coincidence, a picture that shares a slight resemblance. I am no royal. I am no daughter of a queen. The door creaks open, and I hardly hear the footsteps that follow. I'm still studying the photo when a figure strides into view, stopping before my bed. My gaze lifts begrudgingly from Iris's face to land on Callum. He stands there, stoic as always, but I watch the color drain from his face. Time seems to stall. Callum's gaze on the pile of notes, mine on the bouquet of flowers he holds. Pink roses. It's my bouquet. I realize now that it had been forgotten after rushing to the throne room. He must have been bringing it to me. Blinking, I lower my gaze to the crumbling flower beside me, plucked years before this moment. There is that something tugging incessantly at the corner of my subconscious again. Like the intuition that senses a fight before the first punch is thrown, or the moment before I've fit every observation together, molding the story into place with my mind, or how a memory resurfaces at the exact moment I need to pick it apart, because nothing goes unnoticed. I must rush off to a meeting with Kit, but I will be sure to tell him how beautiful you look in this wedding dress. Callum was standing mere steps away from where he is now when the compliment slid from his tongue. But it's the following string of words that I focus on, the damning ones that echo through my mind. The roses from my garden will look lovely with it. I had felt that distant nagging then, that prick of intuition, and chose to ignore it. My trust in Callum had built a wall around my heart, yet all it took was a rose to have it crumbling. Everything is happening so fast, like the inevitable trip before a fall. My thoughts blur, all bleeding into one another. The past comes racing towards my current present, overlapping to create one clear conclusion. I glance down at the decaying flower. Ellie's words suddenly surface from the depths of my mind. There is a private rose garden here on the grounds. Pretty pink ones, I believe. My head swims. That rose garden has been here for decades. Each breath grows shallower. A fatal, a resistance leader, a man who was always in the right place at the right time. A flood of unanswered questions pour into my reeling mind, making me dizzy. Confusion creeps into every thought, every moment spent with Callum, from his resistant speech at the bowl to the very ring on my finger. I claw at my mind, prying apart strands of my past. A wave of realization crashes over me in a series of disconnected thoughts. The notes, the handwriting, the purging trials. My mind is a muddled melody of rhymes, all scrolled in that loopy penmanship. One from a scroll in the whispers, one at the base of plummet, and one read at its peak. My heart pounds as pieces of this puzzle begin falling into place. When I fought the king, his words meant nothing. Until now. A friend told me of his intentions and this resistance he was a part of. A friend. Someone close to my father and the king. Someone loyal to the latter. Blooms did not spring flowers from the earth for Callum overnight. No, he has been tending to them for years. Because he's the king's mind reader. It's as though the world has tilted beneath me. But that is not all. That is only the beginning. I don't look up at him. It's the queen who holds my gaze now. That is when everything clicks. Father, my real father, taught me to trust my instincts, never falter, never leave anything unnoticed. It's as though I'm back on loot, facing an imperial who has ordered me to demonstrate my psychic ability. So when I speak, the words are sure, unshadowed by doubt. Even a mind reader can be read. You know, I stand slowly, the dress swishing around my ankles. I meant to thank you again for giving me those books. They kept me occupied on the boat. I pick up one of the faded spines on my bedside table, flipping open the front cover. For Payden, I read aloud. The rose sketched above the words makes me smile faintly. Callum's gaze has yet to meet mine. I set the books among the littered notes, lining up the identical handwriting. I would add the scroll from my purging trials, but I didn't get the chance to keep one as a souvenir. I pick up the photograph next, flapping it between my fingers. Do you still think I look like my mother? Silence. I thought it was odd when you mentioned that I looked like her from the pictures you had seen, I say slowly. See, we didn't have any photos of my father's wife, Alice. My feet tread a path across the carpet, the dress's hem lapping at my ankles. I mean, a transfer is needed to impress a site's memory onto the page, and it all becomes far more expensive than it's worth. I wave my hands, dismissing the explanation. Then my feet falter, changing course until I'm standing right before him. I lift the photograph between us, forcing those blue eyes onto Iris's. That is not the only royal you have killed. Callum's words ring in my mind, another piece of the puzzle that is my past. But Alice was not the mother you were talking about, I breathe. It was the queen you loved, the one who died giving birth to me. I'm shaking, every inch of my body. The adrenaline coursing through my veins has my heart hammering against a tightening chest, blood pounding in my ears. The gravity of this truth I have uncovered threatens to bring me to my knees. You were Iris's lover, I pant, my eyes wild, and the king's mind reader, feeding him information about the resistance the entire time. That is why he was always one step ahead. Knees trembling, I stand my ground as Callum's gaze lifts to mine. It's agonizingly slow, this moment in which I stand between the past and the present. So I'll ask you again, I say, deceptively calm. Do I look like my mother? When his blue eyes finally meet mine, the queen's, I watch him pluck every thought from my head. He reads the mistrust, mulling it over carefully. I stare up at the fatal, unsurprised when he finally says, And who else do you resemble? This is not the first game I have been forced to play. And it will not be the first I lose. So when I send the words to the forefront of my mind, I mirror the shadow of a smile that lifts his lips. Hello, Father. Chapter 59. Payton. Father. The title tastes bitter for any man other than the one who raised me. I stare up at Callum, letting him read every bit of mistrust in my mind. This man was once like a father to me, and now that I've discovered he has been precisely that all along, hurt rams into me. This is more upsetting to you than I thought it would be, he observes simply. So I'm right, I breathe. Then a wave of anger rolls over me, smothering the fleeting triumph that accompanies unraveling a lifetime of lies. You left me on a doorstep. I throw my hands into the air. I was a baby, and also the king wouldn't find out I wasn't his child? Callum's eyes grow wild. It is as though something has snapped within him, like every solemn expression and kind word was an act he despised. And now that I know who he truly is, there is no use for deceit. The king did think you were his child, and he didn't want you. I stumble back a step, my lips parting slightly. After you killed Queen Iris, he bites, the king handed you off to a silencer. That is when he discovered that an ordinary, killed one of the rarest elites known to Ilya. The room spins around me as I comb through my memory. Recalling every book of history Father set before me, I finally find her power hiding in the corner of my mind. She was a soul. Callum utters the word he'd read from my mind. That's right. The ability to sense another's emotions and alter them, take them upon herself. And her power paired with mine, a fatal's? He laughs, and it is a crazed sound. You were supposed to be formidable, but you are nothing. He spits out the words, each one coded with years of rage. You were an embarrassment to the king, one he told me to take care of, and he spent his life covering up the ordinary he thought was his. But you were mine, and Iris died. He runs a hand over his hair. All for you to be nothing, a worthless ordinary. The scar burns above my heart. Oh. The king thought I was his daughter. Two elites have never made an ordinary. Yet here I stand, powerless, the product of strength with none to show for it. And maybe, for the first time, that makes me extraordinary. Tears blur my vision, anger stinging my eyes. I flex my fingers in the soft skin of my dress, feeling the comforting outline of my dagger beneath the layers of fabric. "So that is why you hate me?" I choke out. "Because the woman you love died giving birth to me?" "Because it should have been you," he growls. "It should have been you that died that day, not the queen who bled out for an ordinary." His head shakes, and the wild look in his eyes has me stepping back. "Before you showed up at the castle and sat beside Edric during that first dinner, I thought you were dead. I may not have been able to kill you like the king had wished 18 years ago, but I hoped you met your end in the slums." "But I didn't," I breathe. "And he still kept me alive." After that third trial, standing in the pouring rain outside the bowl, I asked the king why he hadn't killed me sooner. That was right before his sword sliced open my forearm. "Because I needed you alive." "He did," Callum says in response to my memory. "I convinced him that the resistance needed you to find the tunnel into the bowl, and if the trials didn't kill you, then he could after." He lifts a shaking finger at me. "But you have her eyes. He recognized you the moment you sat down at that table." I fight to keep my voice steady. "How did you know I would find the tunnel?" His smile is cruelly sympathetic. I bare my teeth right back. He is not going to tell me. Every unanswered question begins to resurface until they're practically bubbling out of me. I spit one out, hoping he will deign to answer it. "I thought the queen died giving birth to Kit." "The whole kingdom thought so." His eyes gleam, boring into mine. "The king kept Iris locked away, safe from any threats. So much so that when she became pregnant with you, the kingdom knew nothing of the queen or her child. And after the shame you brought him upon your birth, he sealed the true records away and told the kingdom she had passed when Kit was born." There is a long pause in which I try to swallow the sudden realization. "And my father," I choke on the words. "You told the king about him. You are the reason he is dead, because you found out about the resistance." "He was helping in the castle during fever season," he says simply. "We passed in the hall, and I read his mind, learned of his plans for a resistance. But that was not what killed Adam in the end." I blink at him. "What are you talking about?" That moment in the basement of my childhood home, surrounded by resistance members, comes racing back. Callum had shown a shred of confusion when I assumed my father's death was due to his association with the resistance. "No, Edric kept him alive to grow his resistance," Callum was saying. "He was content to use him until Adam discovered something he shouldn't have. Something for the kings alone." "What are you talking about?" I urge again through gritted teeth. Callum's responding silence has a frustrated sound crawling up my throat. "That is why you were asking about my father's journals," I pant. "You wanted to know if he wrote that secret something down." My head spins. I shove this new piece of confusing information beside the dozens sprawled across my mind. But the truth of my father's death didn't seem to interfere with Edric Azer's obsession with the resistance. I'm suddenly flung into another memory, one where I am bloody and broken and barely surviving against the king. His boot is crushing my chest as I stare up at him, rain pelting my stinging face. Mud squelches beneath my back. He watches me struggle to wriggle free. "I've planned for this day a long time, waiting until I could rid myself of this resistance." "He had," Callum murmurs, seeing the vivid picture I've painted in my mind. My gaze is distant, clouded with realization. "The king didn't want to wipe out the resistance when he first found out," I mutter. He wanted it to grow, wanted to gather all the ordinaries in one place. My gaze flicks to Callum's, while my mind wanders to that battle at the bowl. And you were his spy. Callum confirms with a pitiless nod of his head. But your father needed to be taken care of before we had collected enough ordinaries for the slaughter. So, I took his place as the Resistance's leader. Slaughter. My stomach heaves. The pit was littered with bodies, and the memory of that bloody stretch of sand has my mouth drying. It was all a ploy. My chest heaves, anger swelling within it. Everything. You don't care about the ordinaries. You never have. Not after one killed your lover. I take another step back, bumping into the bedside table behind. From that very first night in my home, you are playing me. Your father would be proud. That is what Callum had said to me after I pledged myself to the Resistance's cause. And proud he was, having finally caught me. A ghost of the woman he loved in the body of a worthless ordinary he hated. And I am, Callum laces those long fingers behind his back. Very proud of the puppet you became for me. Get out of my head. Disgust coats my voice. What game are you playing now? I let him hold my gaze for a long moment. We need to get you to your next wedding ceremony. Why? I retort. Why would you want an ordinary on the throne? I have great plans for you, Peyton. He's suddenly striding towards me. I will ensure the scholars write your name into every history book. That intuition begins a slow tug within me once again, and this time I do not ignore it. These past several weeks play out in my mind, like a constant stream of memory. I think of the moments spent with Callum, yes, but more importantly, the ones without. He was always in the background, always whispering into someone's ear. I blink at the floor before beginning to spew my thoughts. You told King Edric not to kill me when I showed up at the castle, and he didn't. You told Kit to marry me, and he did. The veiled accusations fall from my lips in a rushed murmur. He trusted you so easily. You convinced him to let me compete in these trials, advised him to start training his troops, and he does it all. Callum's eyes narrow, but he says nothing. I almost laugh. You say the blooms grew your rose garden, and in that moment I believed you. What you demand, others do. You had the entire resistance eating out of your palm, my father included. You're not just a mind reader, are you? I take a slow step towards him. You are a duel. That is why you hate me so much. I still manage to be ordinary, even when you aren't just one fatal. You're two. Still, Callum says nothing. Having figured it all out, I smile. You're a mind reader and a controller. When he lunges for me, I send an elbow arcing towards his temple. I'm surprised when he jumps back, swiftly avoiding the hit. My dress ripples around me as I dart forward to throw a right hook at his jaw. Again, he evades me. I sink onto the balls of my feet, blood pounding in my ears. Jab, right hook, cross. Nothing. Nothing is hitting him. I let out a frustrated cry that he finds humorous. Don't hurt yourself, Peyton. I know your every move. Of course he does. Get out of my head. Callum chuckles again while dodging the next fist I send flying towards his face. My blood boils, staining my cheeks with heat. But my mind is clear, and I know he reads the thought that pounds through it. There is no way in hell I am leaving this room with him. He reads my only plan, blue eyes locked on mine and lips twitching into a smile. I pause. Maybe inside my head is exactly where he should be. I take a slow step towards him. You're the failure, not me. Callum feigns boredom. Not only were you unable to kill an ordinary baby, But you left me on Adam Gray's doorstep so you could keep an eye on your daughter. His eyes narrow as I advance slowly. I'm right, aren't I? A part of you wanted to watch me grow up. Every meeting, every conversation with my father, you were learning about me. I jab a finger towards the pile of books beside the bed. You brought those to the house when I was a child, didn't you? Even wrote my name in the covers. Because you cared for me. Enough, Callum drawls. All your power, and you couldn't even make an elite. Pathetic, I spit the word aloud, watching it hit him like a blow. You blame me for Iris's death because you couldn't do anything to save her. One foot in front of the other. I bet you couldn't even hold her hand, couldn't even say goodbye with the king there. My thoughts are sharp, cutting through the cool facade he wears with ease. Stop it, he mumbles. She was never yours, Callum. Rage has his body trembling. Stop! But I am. I will forever be your greatest failure. I'm close enough now to see the tears glossing his gaze. Do I look like her father? Do I haunt you? Callum's hands clamp atop his ears. Enough! Look at me. His eyes squeeze shut, and that is when I strike. My palms meet plush carpet as I drop to the floor, sweeping my leg out. I hear the sound of tearing fabric before Callum topples to the floor, having lost his balance. Fumbling with the dress's draping layers, I find my dagger beneath and pull it from the sheath. My chest heaves. Hovering over him, I bring the tip of my blade to his neck. He stares up at me. Betrayer, liar, killer of ordinaries. Father. That is the most damning title of them all. And I don't even know the half of what he's done. A thin line of blood stains the dagger's point. Do it. Kill him. That's right, he whispers beneath me. Do it. I bare my teeth. He has used every person I care about. Are you going to kill me or not, daughter? A low growl spills from my throat, driven by hurt and hate. My body trembles. And then I yank the blade away. His smile is cold. You're so weak. The swirling handle of my dagger, my real father's dagger, connects with Callum's temple, cutting off his words. He lies there, unconscious beside a kneeling bride. Sweat sticks to my brow, and I swipe at it numbly. The weapon slips from my hand to thud softly against the carpet. My legs shake as I pull them beneath me and force myself off the floor. Fabric flows down my legs, unfurling to my feet in a waterfall of white. I look down to find a large tear slithering up the side of my leg, splitting the lace and exposing a sliver of my skin. Dazed, I stumble towards the door, head spinning. I need to tell Kit. Throwing the door open, I glance one last time at the scene I'm fleeing. Notes litter the bed, an open book beside them. The smell of roses grows bitter, life and death, past and present, all mingling in the air. A decaying flower atop a jewelry box, a fresh bouquet decorating the floor, a photograph of a stranger who is suddenly so much more. Callum is sprawled beside the evidence of his treachery, a man who was once my friend, turned father who is now dead to me. I step out into the hall and don't look back again.